a list is not that long, and he's going to say something that's pretty profound about what's going on in the market today. Stocks on hand. So investments. Now let's talk about the companies we don't control. A list that again references Apple. Below, we list our 15 largest equity holdings. So they only put in their 15 largest equity holders, not all their stocks. Several of which we can find the rest of them on the 13F if you really want to look at all of them. Several of which are selections of Berkshire 2 long-term investment managers, Todd Combs and Ted. Todd and Ted is the long-time people that control their equity holdings. Todd and Ted working. I think Todd is the CEO of Geico now, or I think it's Todd Combs. Is pretty cool guys. I met them before some years ago. So shouts out to Todd and Ted for doing their thing. At year end, their value part has total authority in respect to $34 billion of investments. So they control $34 billion of investments, many of which we do not meet the threshold value. We use the table below. Also, a significant portion of dollars that Todd and Ted manage are lodged in various pension plans of Berkshire-owned businesses, with the assets of these plans not included in the table. So the number one company that they have 151 million shares is American Express. They paid $1.2 billion for them, and today they're worth $24 billion. Number two, Apple. They paid $31 million for them. It's the cost column, and they today it's worth $161 million. So they own 19.9%, almost 20% of American Express. They own 5% of Apple, right? And then Bank of America, they own 4.6 million of Apple, right? They paid 4.6 million in Apple, and today it's worth 45 billion. They own 12.9% of the company. The next one is the Bank of New York Mellon Company. They own 8.3% of the company, which it cost them 2.9 million. Now they're up to 3.8 billion. They got BYD. They got Chartered Communications, Chevron Corporation, right? They own 2% of Chevron. They own 9.2% of Coca-Cola that they spent 1.2 million on, and now it's worth 23 million. General Motors, they own 3.6% of General Motors. I never heard of this company, the Itachi Corporation, right? They own 5.6%. They own Mitsubishi, 5.5% of Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi and Company, Ltd., they own 5.7%. Moody's Corporation, which is, I think all they do is grade companies. They paid $248 million for them, and it's worth $9.6 billion. So Moody Corporations, they own 13% of the company now. I didn't know Moody Corporation was doing that good. I read it in one of his letters because he was saying that the overhead was so low for the Moody's Corporation. That's what I saw. He owned Verizon, 3.8% of Verizon, and U.S. Bancorp. I'm not a big fan of Verizon, but hey, good, right? So he said total equity investments carried at market is 104 billion. It's the cost. Now they have 350 billion, right? 350 billion in equities and stocks and stuff like that. So they got stocks. They own the railroads. Well, but through BNSF, they own the railroads. They own insurance, Apple, and what was the other company? Energy, right? And they got 350 billion in total stocks. Not too bad. And those are the top 15 companies that they own in stock-wise, right?